Hey everybody, it's PartyElite, and as I work on a rather chunky ship design guide video for Distant Worlds 2, I wanted to put together a shorter video of more quick tips that I thought needed to get out there sooner rather than later. Many of these spawned from many of the questions I saw in the comments of my previous video, and if you have more questions or thoughts or topics you'd like to see covered, please let me know down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll get on it as soon as I can. I've heard you loud and clear about the ship design guide too. Many of you are clearly interested, and that's great to see, and so I am working on it, but it'll just take me a little bit longer since it is such a dense topic that needs a lot of testing and research. Now, if you haven't watched my first guide video on Distant Worlds 2, I highly recommend it as it goes over a variety of things in decent depth, and you can find it linked in the description and pinned comment down below, alongside a link where you can buy the game to support the channel as you do if you'd like. Now, with no more time to waste, here are 5 more essential tips for Distant Worlds 2. Use the context menu. I think I downplayed the importance of the context menu in my previous video, so I'm here to clear the air. Holding down Control and right-clicking has a plethora of options and outcomes depending on what ship you have selected, what parts it has, and what you're clicking on. Use this tool often. Anytime you get a new class of ship or new equipment that might seem relevant, give it a test drive, because I'll be honest, it's a little hard to know exactly what will be revealed with so many moving parts. For example, with an exploration ship selected, you'll be able to choose between exploring and surveying individual planets. I'll touch more on what that means in just a little bit. If the ship you have selected has a mining engine, even if it's a state-run military ship that you have direct control over, you can control right-click on a celestial body that has resources, and you can mine it. Not always entirely useful, but the option is there for emergencies. Having a fleet or military ship selected and control right-clicking on your own planets and stations will allow you to guard them, refuel at them, or retire or retrofit at them specifically. Control right-clicking on another ship will allow you to set an escort. With an entire fleet selected, you can use the context menu to set a new home base, and with a military ship or fleet selected, you can also get a plethora of options when control right-clicking on an enemy station, ship, or planet. Stations and planets will let you attack, raid, bombard, or blockade them as appropriate, but keep in mind that these kinds of actions will cause diplomatic friction, and you can do them without declaring open war. Also, I just want to take a moment to highlight how a blockade actually works. You can actually prevent other ships from other empires interacting with a planet or port by placing a blockade on it. Your ships will actively chase down people trying to run your blockade. Sorry, I just think it's cool, and I'm getting a little distracted, but I think this is just really kind of sleek. Anyway, you can also control right-click on an enemy ship with one of your own military ships selected, and if you have assault pods on your selected ship, you can try and capture that enemy ship. This is a contextual menu, so again, the contents and options change depending on what you have available to you and what you're targeting. So again, a ship without an assault pod will not see this capture option, just like a ship without bombardment weapons won't see an option to bombard a planet. It's a flexible tool. It opens up options that you might literally not know exist otherwise, and it's worth using more often than not, in my opinion. 2 modes of exploration. As I briefly touched on in the previous section, the context menu when using exploration ships will reveal 2 types of exploration at times: explore and survey. The presence of these options is determined by the 2 different types of exploration modules that you can have on your ships, and the default right-click leans towards survey, which can be a bit more time-consuming. The tech tree splits from basic exploration to a few options. Excluding colonization, your paths go down the line of exploration up top and survey down below. These unlock individual components, and your ships can equip from either category or from both, though they serve slightly different purposes. Exploration is very surface level, typically revealing most resources available on a celestial body as well as some features that might exist on it. The module will list an exploration power, an exploration time, and an exploration range. The range is particularly interesting when it comes to asteroid fields early on, as a ship with exploration modules can actually explore multiple bodies around the one you've been targeting all at the same time. And this can save you a lot of time, especially when talking about asteroid fields. The time stat, meanwhile, tells you how long it takes to explore said targeted bodies, and the exploration power tells you how well explored the target will be at the end of that time. Celestial bodies have varying degrees of exploration you can pursue, and the game will let you know if you found everything there is to find, or if there's more left to find despite your initial successes. Higher exploration levels attained by higher exploration power will reveal more aspects of a planet, including ruins, additional resources, artifacts, and more, but exploration only goes so far. The idea, as far as I can tell, is that exploration is for quick resource scouting, with the occasional bit of luck highlighting other elements, or with the game at least letting you know that there's more to find. To really dive in, you need to use the surveillance equipment. These have a survey amount, a survey maximum level, and a survey time. As you can see, survey time is significantly longer than exploration time ever is, but once that survey time is complete, the survey level of the targeted celestial body immediately goes up to the survey amount. Then, if there's more to find, the ship will continue to survey the body, taking time equal to the survey time over and over and over again to increase your survey level of the target by 1 every time it completes a cycle, up to the survey maximum level, or until the target has been fully explored, whichever comes first. Higher level survey tech makes deep exploration faster, not only as it takes less time to complete a cycle, but also because the exploration level reached after the first cycle gets higher and higher with higher level tech, as you can see with the increased survey amount value. Higher level tech also allows for a higher maximum level of overall exploration of a target, which is necessary in some cases to find hidden benefits. Having a station around a planet is another way to explore it to higher levels, with or without an exploration or survey module, but that's a bit of an investment in time and money, of course. Note that when a ship is told to explore a celestial body, it will automatically survey it if there's no exploration module. That's how your exploration ships will typically start, by the way, with the basic survey module, and that's why it can feel quite time-consuming to explore planets at first, because you're actually surveying them, you're not exploring them, and that's why you should wait to explore asteroid fields unless you have literally nothing else to do. Asteroid fields are best left to exploration modules since they're fast and far-reaching, and survey ships are better used on celestial bodies that have unrevealed secrets. Better spaceports. On the topic of stations around celestial bodies, keep in mind that there are ways to improve them right from the start of the game. This taps a little into ship design, and I'll mention it again in my upcoming ship design video, but I thought it was worth getting some of the core info out there sooner. For one, your initial spaceport design might not include docking bays, even though you're able to add them. Construction yards provide at least one docking bay, but the docking bay component specifically adds more, and these are used by freighters and mining ships and more to pick up and drop off resources. It's all a matter of a slightly higher throughput for a marginally higher cost. And if you have room for additional research labs, consider adding them too, as the research points from multiple research labs at a single station stack. Apart from that, don't hesitate to add a few seemingly irrelevant components to your spaceports located around your colonies. The medical systems and the recreational systems will both help increase happiness on the colony over which the station is floating. These will be as two separate line items, and this extra happiness will allow you to either encourage migration to said colony or to apply a higher tax rate at the colony without needing to worry about a rebellion. No, this isn't really listed on the component descriptions, but yes, trust me and your eyes, this works, at least in the current build of the game. Note that while higher level medical and recreational systems have some benefits, they do not further increase the colony happiness than the basic systems. It doesn't hurt to upgrade considering the savings they can incur, but don't expect these numbers to go any higher when you do. You should also consider researching and using the Commerce Center. Though it won't have an impact right off the bat, the moment you start trading with other empires or with independent ships and merchants, This will give you a small boost to your trade economy. Admittedly, it's not much, but if you see a great deal of trade early on with independent merchants or with other empires, it can well be worth investing in for your spaceports. Fighting early pirates. Where there's commerce, there's piracy. And if you've been frustrated or overwhelmed by the level and aggression of pirates bothering you in the early game especially, there are a few things you can do to overcome them. The easiest solution is to just turn them off, but I suspect that's not why you're here. The other easy solution is to pay them protection money, and while that helps until you've researched the appropriate technology, I assume that's not the path you'd like to take permanently either. You'll want to research at least the most basic level of shields and armor to apply to your space stations to ensure they can't easily be boarded and raided. You'll need to have those defenses stripped before that can happen, and that can either buy you precious time to respond, or it'll simply convince the pirates not to bother. This typically means that they'll try to raid your planets instead, so you'll want to ensure you've recruited at least some of the basic ground troops to respond, and you'll want to keep an eye on your troop levels to make sure they don't get depleted over the course of multiple raids. All this might hinder the pirates, but to truly stop their harassment, you'll want to invest in frigates and at least the most basic level of ion weapons. I say to use frigates because they tend to have more weapon hardpoints and they're hardier than escorts, meaning they can take at least a little bit of a beating before they retreat or start to lose components and capabilities. As for ion weapons, you'll notice they have a unique set of stats that dictates how much direct damage ion weapons can do to a variety of component types. Among them, you'll notice hyperdrive systems. One of the biggest reasons for persistent pirate raids, at least in my experience, has been the player's inability to actually destroy their ships. They keep getting away at the first sign of trouble and then come back later. With ion weapons, again, even the most basic ones, you'll have a higher chance of quickly disabling enemy shields, engines, and yes, hyperdrive. While other weapons can do so as well, it requires the shields and armors to be depleted or bypassed, and it's a matter of luck as well. With ion weapons, your likelihood of destroying these components is much higher, and then your other weapons can actually destroy the enemy ships entirely since they can no longer escape, and this will reduce the harassment that you face. I've used this approach to effectively eliminate pirate threats without needing to actually destroy their bases. You become too much of a threat for them, they become too weakened, and you're just not worth the trouble when you can pick them off. Stealing technology is powerful. I feel like this might get tuned in the future, and I'd say it almost should be, but as it stands now, stealing technology is the more powerful way to acquire new tech. It can take some time to get up to speed, but once you do, you'll be able to snatch technology that would take decades to research in just a matter of months. The first step is to wait for spies to arrive. Once they do, you'll want them working on counterintelligence right away in the hopes of increasing their skills and acquiring helpful traits. It won't be very long before you're able to send them out, picking a faction to target, picking a technology to steal, and just waiting. A successful mission doesn't immediately give you the full tech, to be fair, it just gives you a huge amount of progress on it, but this is effectively the same thing when you see just how much progress you get in such little time. Keep in mind that different factions are more or less easy to infiltrate, and that pirate factions, independent colonies, and empires alike can be targeted in this way. Espionage is a powerful tool, and this kind of technological theft can give you a huge advantage, if not at least catch you up where you may have been falling behind. Make sure not to waste time stealing or continuing to steal technology that would just be easier and quicker to research. For example, if you steal a technology and the amount of progress you gain means it'll only take 100 days or so to finish the research, consider sending your spy to steal something else while you simply spend the time researching that earlier tech to the finish line. It doesn't make sense to spend 12 months stealing something you could have in 3 months instead, unless of course you have to urgently prioritize what you're already researching and you also urgently need what you're trying to steal. In that case, sure, keep at it without changing anything, but if you can sort of shuffle things around, don't hesitate to do so to maximize and optimize your theft to research ratio, let's call it. But there you have it, another 5 essential tips for Distant Worlds 2, a bit Quicker and shorter, these ones, but super useful nonetheless. At least I think so. Again, if you haven't seen my previous video where I dive a bit deeper across a variety of topics, I'll have it linked in the description and pinned comment down below. And if you have any topics that you'd like to see covered or any questions or suggestions of your own, leave them in the comments down below. I'm still, again, working on my ship design guide as well, and I'll have that up as soon as I can, but again, it's a fair bit of researching and testing, so it'll take just a little bit longer. I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't hesitate to hit the like button if you did. And as always, don't hesitate to subscribe for more strategy gaming news, reviews, previews, and more. As always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.